Hey, welcome to Two Pastor Bob's and a Microphone. We are live on the air and people are rolling in to watch. So that's great. We have a good show for you lined up. And Pastor Bob Beeman will be joining us here momentarily. As soon as he gets online, we'll welcome him into the conversation. And I hope you're doing well. I don't want to remind you that if you have questions, you can certainly email us right here at 2pbs@sanctuaryinternational.com. And you can send your questions in that way. The best way to do it though is right in our comments, and right away from on a YouTube viewer, it says good morning. And so good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. It's a foggy, cool day here in Wisconsin, but I'm looking at some of my friends that are going to be online here soon, and it's looking beautiful down where they are. So that's really good. Greg Wheeler says, good morning from Louisville, Kentucky. So good morning to you, Greg. I'm going to welcome Pastor Bob back in. Hello, sir. Everybody. How are
you? So is my sound better, Bob?
You sound great. Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. But the real question is, do I look good?
Well, I thought I was talking to Brad Pitt for a minute there.
Well, that's sure. and I get that a lot. I really get that a lot.
I'm sure. I was ready to ask you to send a glossy autograph or something, but
I know. Well, because Brad and I have a lot of things in common.
Yes. Absolutely.
I can't think of any right now, but I'm sure we do.
Well, you both put your pants on the same way each morning, I'm sure.
So. Well, and that's probably the biggest thing we have in common.
Right.
So, Bob, you doing good today?
Yeah, doing well. I'm a week out today from another surgery. I had to have scar tissue removed, and from all the other previous surgeries, but doing much better and feeling a lot better. There was actually a band of scar tissue that went from my liver to my stomach.
Oh my goodness!
Ooh, that made for some uncomfortable times.
At least you're feeling better.
Yeah, let's just say when your stomach's feeling like that, don't eat Taco Bell. It's no good.
Yeah, well, that would be good advice.
Yeah.
And we could do that song, I Feel Good. Yeah. We could. Of course, people would leave.
Greg says, hey, Pastor Bob, glad to see you feeling well. Thank you, Greg. And I'm sure that's pointed at you as well.
Well, but we're both feeling well, aren't we? This is a good thing.
Yep.
Yes.
Let's see. Vanessa says hello from Kansas City, Missouri.
Wow.
Another song written about Vanessa. That. I'm going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come.
I'm going to Kansas City. We could just spend the morning singing.
We could. Yep. Another one, Hi from West Hollywood. We could sing the POD song. So you want to be in Hollywood? You want to be a superstar? Welcome to Hollywood. So,
really?
There's a song for every city. And whatever city we don't cover, we'll just play the Johnny Cash song, I've Been Everywhere,
We could. Good morning, Tina. Good to see you. Tina's a good friend of the podcasting, and she's awesome. Glad to have her here.
That's good.
Yes.
Well, we down the road, it'd be great to have more female podcasters on the Sanctuary channel. That would be.
It is. We have Nanette, and we sure enjoy her being here, but I'm sure she would love to have a little, a few people joining her as well.
Yeah. And
so
Diego says, good morning from Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Good, Diego. He's a good guy. Good to see you, Diego. Great.
Jeff says, good morning to you both and all who have joined. Have a blessed day today.
Great.
Let's see. Danny Taylor says hello from Oklahoma.
Wow. Good, Danny. Good to see Danny again. Great.
Danny, we'll definitely keep your mom in prayer. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Danny. Absolutely. Yes.
And of course, our friend John Osgood. Hello from Long Island Metal Church.
No, it's Long Island.
Long Island.
Long Island. That's how you pronounce it. Yeah. But John, good to see you.
I'm from up here in Wisconsin, don't you know? So.
Don't you know? Wisconsin.
Yeah. I used to think that us Northerners had the stupidest accent. And then I watched Swamp People. And I realized we're not so bad after all, compared to them down in New Orleans. So
Mm.
My son and I have
Nolans.
yes, my son and I have a saying now because we watch Swamp People, and there's a guy down there that instead of shoot them, the alligators, he says shoot them,
Shoot 'em?
CHOT.
Yeah.
So when my son's out with his air rifle and we see something, we always yell shoot him, so
I like that.
let's see.
Shoot with the
Terry,
CH.
yeah, Terry Horn says
Terry?
hi, guys, from Cincinnati.
Right. Cincinnati. There you
Oh,
go.
WKRP.
Yes, that's right. The
Good
most
afternoon
famous
from
fictitious
Norway.
radio station.
Yeah, one of your friends
Yes.
from Norway saying hi.
Great. Yes,
Of
a
course,
good friend from Norway.
of course,
And
Carrie
Carrie,
Kelly. Good morning,
you
Bob
know Carrie
Squared.
Kelly. She's in your neck of the woods.
Yep, she is.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So
Good to see you, Carrie.
So how's your week going, Pastor Bob?
It's going great. I think I went through COVID twice.
Wow.
And but it kind of left me without a lot of energy, and so that's been the toughest part, but I'm getting more and more every day, and it's been a good week. Yeah.
That's good to
John
hear.
is here. Good to see you, John. Indiana. You and the Jacksons, Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brian Bennett is here. Good friend from Walla Walla. Great guy.
Good. Of course, Gary Ireton. Good morning, Bobs.
Good morning, Gary.
There's I know we don't get too political on here and talk about headlines, but did you hear the news? And I'd be interested in your thoughts, because I'm guessing you probably had run-ins with him. Did you hear that Pat Robertson stepped down from the 700 Club?
I didn't.
Yeah, he made it official. And
well, he's getting up there in years.
Yeah. Yep.
So
yeah,
the biggest thing in the news that I keep seeing over and over again, all the things they should be reporting, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
But the big news event is that there's a homosexual man on the cover of Playboy magazine this month.
I read that somewhere. Isn't that something?
Yeah. I'm not sure that's newsworthy, but it seems to be the story that's hitting all the news. I didn't even know they were still publishing the magazine.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
So, but and back in my teen years, I only read it for the interviews.
Well, yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Exactly.
So yeah,
and that's what everybody claimed.
Right. And what a week for internet, isn't it? I mean, Facebook going down and all of that. It's just I don't know. Seems a little shady.
Well, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, Bob, I think. And, it just makes us a little nervous, because obviously many of you are watching on YouTube and Facebook. Yep. And so, Bob, we're going to be doing an app. And the app will help us to be a little more present with people. If those social media places go down, we still have the app. So, but it's real important.
It is. The interesting thing about that was the Facebook and Facebook and the extra apps that they're tied into all went down, but YouTube was still up, and so we can certainly embed that YouTube into the app, so that if we go down again, if Facebook goes down again, we still have a way of doing our show and staying in touch with people.
And I think YouTube's probably going to go down too. I just have a feeling.
Got a hunch, huh?
I think Google, Facebook, and Twitter probably, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, we got quite a show this morning.
We do, and we need to hear from Johnathan. I'd love to see what's going on with the Sanctuary merch and new stuff in the store.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello, Ivan.
We got Johnathan. We have Lebo. We got Shawn Browning from Grave Robber with us today. There's a new band that I got to know over the last couple months called Blue Fire Horizon, and the singer Hunter Chapin's going to be with us. He's just down the road from me, about 45 minutes down the road from me. But
and we have
Phil and Haydin and Phil Osborn. It's going to be a full show. So
yes, and in fact, Phil is here at my home.
Oh, there you go. It looks familiar.
He's
there
sitting
in the
outside.
background.
He'll have the ducks in the background when we have him on, and Phil is with Casting Crowns,
Yeah.
and so very good friend.
Because when you
Well,
think heavy metal,
yeah.
you think Casting Crowns.
You do. That's right.
Yes.
Although Phil is into heavy metal, and
Absolutely.
he's actually worked with quite a few metal bands too.
He's got a track record, that's for sure.
He sure does.
How about if we go right into the homeless refuge report? We'll call it a metal report.
Well,
and
actually, we're gonna switch that around today.
Okay.
And do Johnathan Jester first.
Okay. With the homeless refuge report.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not homeless refuge. The merchandise.
The
merch store. Yes. The Metal Shoppe.
All right.
I had to switch those around. So if Johnathan is there, let's invite him on.
Okay.
No, there's an introduction. There he is. The coolest dude in the world, isn't he? Now, Bob, you talked about Brad Pitt.
Yes.
There's our Brad Pitt lookalike right there.
Well, I was thinking more George Clooney, personally.
Well, yeah, it's a toss-up. If you could put them together.
Hey, hopefully I age as well as George Clooney has.
That's awesome. Well, Johnathan, I don't know if he's not just some random guy that's doing the merch store, but Johnathan has been a friend for a very long time. Jonathan's originally from Alaska, lives in Texas now, and he's a great friend of the ministry, of the homeless ministry. And Johnathan, all the stuff that we sell, everything that we have in the store, the proceeds go to the homeless ministry.
That's correct. It's very much needed. And, I would like to shed light on the fact that it is getting closer to winter time too. And so that becomes a time that's really crucial for the homeless as well. So just kind of, remember that as you walk outside and it's, really cold, and some of us have nice homes to go to. Many of us have, nice coats and everything, but that's not always the case for some people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good point. And, while we're thinking, wow, I can't wait to get back inside, there are many people that can't say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Johnathan, I guess the best thing for this cold time coming up would be,
I would say so.
Brew.
Absolutely.
Headbangers Brew. So tell us about the brew. Because there's a lot of people that have not yet done the brew or do the brew. Now look what Bob has.
I'm caught lacking right now. I don't have any coffee to show you. Of course, I have the big picture of the label there with Pastor Bob.
Yes.
And of course, 2.0 has the K cups, which are really hot sellers, really convenient way to do them. That's actually what I do. Is I use the K cups whenever I'm making my coffee. It's just more convenient most of the time. Honestly.
It is.
When you're on the go, you can have a little cup of Bob Joe on the go. That's a new slogan we're using. Haydin,
very, very marketable.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's awesome. And Johnathan, we've got some other new things too. This mug is one of them. Don't be a dumb sheep from my podcast.
See, there you go. It's kind of hard to do because, following the Lord, you kind of realize that you're a dumb sheep probably most of the time. So, but we try our best.
Exactly.
Well, I actually Johnathan, I heard a slogan for it was an old pastor friend of mine, and he said, what we're trying to do is that we're trying to have mugs for our church. We're trying to have we're trying to have pens and everything, and we're trying to have boxers as well. And he said, then our slogan's going to be, we're in your cupboard, we're in your desk, and when we're in your pants. I don't know if that would work too well, but,
that'd be edgy.
Whoa. That may not be the greatest idea. Yeah.
I have to pray about it, but
So so maybe the slogan should be, for those long-winded pastors, their congregation, the brief say, "Pastor, keep it brief."
There you go. Yes.
That would be good. Johnathan,
Good
write that
grief.
down. Keep it brief. Yes.
Funny.
Well, Johnathan, you've got a special going on. Do you want to tell us about that?
That's right. So we're running the discount finally this week. It's 15% off everything in the store with the promo code 2BOBS, and it's only going to be for this day. And we'll be running them each week. So if you end up missing this week's, then next week you'll be able to get one as well. But this week's code is 2BOBS, and so for those of you who are watching the show, those of you who even want to share the link with somebody or share the code with somebody who's watching the show or not watching the show, it's
awesome.
2BOBS for your 15% off. And I got to say too that the products are quite cheap anyway, so 15% off, you're really getting a good deal on
very good deal.
And t-shirts and the coffee mugs and everything. So
that's the entire store is 15% off until midnight.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Till 11:59.
Well, that's awesome.
So, yeah. Once it hits midnight, you can't get the code anymore.
But wait, if you buy today, then you should buy some more.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Get it all today.
Well, Johnathan, you're going to have a new T-shirt to reveal next week, so we will be waiting for that.
Absolutely.
And it's for all the 80s Christian metalheads. Very special one coming out. So we'll look forward to chatting with you about that next week.
That'll be awesome.
Speaking of awesome, you're awesome. And thank you so much, Johnathan.
I think the 2BOBS that I have up on the screen right now are pretty awesome.
Well, you're pretty awesome yourself. A lot of awesomeness in this room.
There's way too much awesomeness. Johnathan, love you, dude. Thank you.
Love you, Dad.
Bye. All right.
He's awesome. He is awesome.
Well, one of the cool things that we do here on the Two Pastor Bobs and a Microphone is this Legends Confessions, and something that's been on your heart, Pastor Bob, just in mentoring young bands, up and coming bands. So should we welcome in our next guest, Shawn Browning?
Let's do. I'm excited.
All right, here we go. Hey, Shawn.
There he is. Shawn, it's so good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you too. It's been too long. I mean,
it's been a few years.
Last time I saw you was I think probably audio feed, but it's been a while.
It's been a while, yes, and we haven't had it for the last couple of years.
Yeah,
but
I Shawn is this right off the bat, so you can see my coffee mug this morning.
There you go. There you go. All right.
And the funny thing was,
Shawn,
last night I planned on drinking my coffee out of this mug because I'm going to be on your show, and I thought, man, I'm not sure I know where that's at. And I opened up my cupboard and it was right in front. I'm like, how did that happen?
And there you go.
Shawn, just because you did that, we're going to give you 15% off today in the Metal Shoppe.
All right.
See, there you go.
Very nice. I got
awesome.
this in a bag of coffee at Audio Feed.
Yeah.
It's very good.
That's awesome. So Gary Ireton, you probably know Gary. Gary said,
yes,
nice shirt to you.
Oh, yeah, that's an old Unified Underground hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
very
thought
cool.
You were wearing a picture
I missed
of
that
a
too.
girl
Unified Underground was great.
Well, Shawn, you guys started Grave Robber. How many years ago now?
2005.
Wow. So you've been going 16 years. Yeah. It's a long time. And what was the motivation behind the band, and what were the original ideas? Because the band isn't a conventional Christian metal band.
No, not at all. So I was in another band called the Migraines. We toured a lot all through the 90s, probably about 6 months out of the year. And that was kind of winding down. And all the original members of Grave Robber were all the worship team at a church that here in Fort Wayne. And the Huntingtons used to come through town quite a bit. And,
Yes.
they sounded a lot like the Ramones. And one night, one of the guys in the worship team said, "Wow, I really wish there was a band that sounded like the Misfits." We're like, "Yeah, that would be awesome," but it would never work. And you're like, "You can't do that. I mean, we're Christians. You can't, do that kind of imagery." Well, I told the guys in the band or in the worship team, I'm like, if we're going to do this, I said, we're a lot of bands start and then they pray and ask Jesus to fit himself into their band. I said, let's do it the opposite way. Let's pray about this. And when we get the green light, then we'll do it. Well, 2 years later, we got the green light, and part of the green light, I mean, we literally prayed for 2 years. So it started in 2003, the concept in 2005 was the first rehearsal. The crazy thing is one of the confirmations was our pastor at the time was preaching in Romans 6. It's all about being dead, being dead to the world and alive in Christ. So we had that message going on, and then the church that we were worship leaders at was funded by the Lutheran Foundation. It was our pastor was Lutheran. The church itself was not Lutheran. I know that doesn't make any sense, but the church was a non-denominational church, but had a lot of Lutheran stuff in it. So there was, communion was every week. It wasn't like, once a month or every so often.
Right.
So we
were Lutheran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got done with, and I'm not Lutheran. I'm non-denominational, but it was a good church. It made sense at the time. So we got done with the message. The worship team would jump up real fast to get first in line to take communion because we got to get up to the stage and get going at the very end. And sorry, I got my dogs here, kind of trying to be annoying. You can't see them; they're off screen. But so we went up to take communion, and of course, that's symbolic of the blood and flesh of Christ. And I'm like, wait a minute. Just a minute ago, we were talking about the fact that we're dead guys, and the communion is eating flesh and drinking blood. And the song that we went up and played was a very, very early David Crowder song that was a pretty punk rock song. And I'm like, thought, wow, that's just so weird, that, all this. And so we started talking about it and started finding things that were that we could use, like symbolic things that were in scripture that we could use that made sense, things that gave that message. Now, the original goal was not to be a quote unquote Christian band. I've never liked the whole Christians in a band thing. I mean, if you're all Christians, you're a Christian band. What I mean when I say we weren't intending to be a Christian band is we weren't intending to be a part of the Christian scene at all. We were intending to be missionaries and go into the horror punk scene and present the message of Jesus to that scene. That was what we initially intended on doing. Now, the thing about doing that is, like an actual missionary, you can't go into hostile territory and, hi, we're Christians and we're here to build a church. Mm-hmm. Hi, we're Christians and we're here to build a school. Hi, we're Christians and we're here to help you out. You can't do that. So, we noticed that Jesus would go into a town and take care of the physical needs of the people before he would talk. So the physical need of that group of people was they just wanted to be rocked. They wanted a good show. So we worked really, really hard. We recognized that Stryper had to be better than all their contemporaries because the message was actually going to be detrimental to their careers. So they had to be better than Rat and Motley Crue and Docket.
Yeah.
They just had to be better.
Right.
So we looked at the horror punk bands and said, well, we have to be better than them. Did we accomplish that? Maybe not. but we had to be good. Okay. So we spent a lot of time getting good and putting the show together and working up the visuals and all that kind of stuff. The message for us is more important, but we also know the vehicle for the message had to be really strong. Well, the message was the vehicle rather was so strong that Robert from Head Noise found out about us and invited us to play Cornerstone. And believe it or not, we had to think about that. We're like, well, that was not the direction we were going. You know, we were going to, for all intents and purposes, it was going to be a secular band that talked about Jesus, if that makes any sense. And so, because we thought that was our mission, and we finally decided, yeah, let's give it a go. So we went to Cornerstone, played. It was fantastic, and then a bunch of Christians found out about us, and next thing you know, we're the world's first Christian horror punk band. Not really.
Yeah.
People say that, but that's not really true. There was the Deadlines before us, and then there was also Blaster the Rocket Man was before us. So we're not the first, really.
Among the first.
Yeah.
So Shawn, it's really important to note that you didn't start it because you had a gimmick. You started it because you had a message. That's an important distinction, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. When I said there was a focus on the music and the gimmick, that was only because that was the vehicle for the message. The message is paramount, and all of our songs are either paraphrased scripture or they are, for lack of a better word, parables rolled into the context of what a horror band would do. But every single song points to Jesus. I don't think we have a song that's just a song for fun. I mean, we recently recorded a Misfits cover, but that's not our song. All of our songs are absolutely pointed to Jesus. No question.
Shawn,
that is so awesome.
That's one of the things I find fun about your band too, is that you adapt to your settings. And I remember the year you played Cornerstone, like 2010 or so, on the Sanctuary stage. You played the set, and then you asked the crowd if there were any requests. And of course, somebody in every crowd, this, yelled out Freebird.
Freebird, yeah.
And you guys went into Freebird spot on. And
that's right.
Then after the song was over, Wretched then just said, "Now, does anybody have a song a request for one of our songs?"
Well,
that was funny. Amazing.
It's funny. Well, right before that, we had done a little short tour about, I don't know, 8 to 10 days, something like that. And of course, it was the same thing every night. Freebird. And Mikey, our guitar player at the time, he was like, "Let's just learn Freebird." And I'm like, "All right, let's do it." And so, and that was about 3 days in. We were in a hotel room somewhere, and he's like, "Okay, it's not that hard. It goes like this," and showed it to the bass player, and I knew most of the words.
Yeah.
And I don't think we played a full version of it. I think it was like a abridged version
of it. But it was classic.
Yeah,
it was good though.
Yeah. So we learned. We threw it together. So I said, "Okay, here's the deal. If anybody yells that out, we don't even hesitate. We just immediately go into it." We had the drummer just like, if you hear the word Freebird, just yell Freebird, because maybe one of us didn't hear it. Yell it and count it off, and here we go, and we just do it. And so that was right awesome. Before Cornerstone. So when it happened, we were like, and it was almost like a plant, like we had planted that, like but we did.
Yeah. Well, but if you're a musician worth your weight, you know Freebird. I mean, Freebird.
Right.
Yeah.
It is
Freebird. The truth is, I'm a huge Skynyrd fan. Like I love.
Yeah, I am too, dude.
To this day, I can listen to Freebird, like, not even ironically. Like I love the band.
Yeah, I do too. And I love Grave Robber. And Shawn, I just want to say thank you for all of the years that you've devoted to music. We've not only enjoyed the music, but I've enjoyed your ministry. And thank you for everything that you've done. It's been awesome.
Well, you guys called this Legends Confessions, and I don't remotely consider myself a legend, but I do consider you a legend. I remember being a teenager, and I don't want to make you feel old, but I remember being a teenager and picking up, there was a Christian bookstore in the mall, and they had, all these cassettes that had ladies on the cover that looked like they got their promo photo done at Glamour Shots.
Yeah, and right.
Big hair and lots of makeup on it, which is so funny. But anyway,
yeah.
And then I picked up, I don't remember if it was Deliverance or if it was Vengeance or what it was, but it was a record that Sanctuary had put out. And there was a picture of you on the back cover with big poofy curly hair. And
Yeah,
I thought, whoa, the pastor can look like that. That's crazy, And now here I am, so many years later, every Sunday wearing, a death metal shirt, standing in front of my group, and preaching.
That's awesome.
So yeah, but at the
That is
time,
awesome.
I mean, pastors, at least here in the Bible Belt, pastors just didn't do that, So
No, and they still don't so much.
no, not really. Yeah, not really.
Yeah.
I'm probably considered a little bit of a renegade, although I'm probably more biblically conservative than most.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Shawn, and I think that's what God intended us to be as
Yeah.
renegades.
Yeah,
we are. It's just the way we appear to the world, but we've got a message that's worth bringing, and you've brought it for 16 years. And thank you, Shawn.
Yeah, well,
Thank you for everything that you've done.
So real quick, and I've always wanted to ask you, and this is probably the best time
Sure.
to ask this, since you're here.
Yeah.
Now, suppose you were back in LA. Suppose that Sanctuary Church and a group of guys walks in, not in costume, but just walks into your church and says, "Hey, we have this band that sounds like the Misfits, and here's what we sound like. Here's what we look like." Back in the '80s, when you had Striper and you had who else did you have? You had
Vengeance.
Yeah, Vengeance, Deliverance.
Tourniquet.
I know there's a bunch of them. Okay, so
Lots of bands. Yeah.
What if there would have been a band like Grave Robber, or let's say it was Grave Robber, at that time? Would you have?
Honestly,
what would have happened
I probably would have said, "Can you do the special music next week for church?" I'm serious. I think we're still the only church, and this is because of when I had Vengeance play for special music. I think we're the only church where I had to make a rule that there's no stage diving from the altar.
That's awesome.
So so that happens.
I always thought the Grave Robber happened at just the right time. I think, the '90s punk rock resurgence, I guess, was had kind of come and gone. But the Misfits themselves were actually kind of taken back off again.
Yeah.
And so then we came, and I fully admit that we totally ape off of the Misfits blueprint. I don't deny that at all. I mean, we're fans of bands, and it just comes from.
But it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome. And when we put Vengeance together, we did the same thing. We studied bands and said, where's music going? We want to be not only current but ahead of the curve. And you guys did the same thing. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Shawn,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I guess we're out of time, but
okay.
Can we have you back again? This has been
I'd love to.
I'm going to go one step further and ask if maybe we could interview Wretched.
I'm sure I can work that out.
That would be awesome.
Being his handler,
awesome.
I'm sure I can work it out.
All right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Shawn, God bless you. It's really good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you too. God bless you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, take care. Bye.
All right.
Awesome guy. Good friend for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had John Watts joining us there. John,
wouldn't that be fun to
is an old friend?
Wouldn't that be fun to interview Wretched sometime?
It would. I think we got to do that. Hello to John Watts. Hello to Roger. I saw his name on there. And John, hello there. He says, when will the Metal Bible or any of the books be back in stock? We're about to run a special, actually. And we're just waiting. We have to get the Metal Bibles from Sweden. And it's been a little bit of a problem, and we're out of them right now. But we're going to have all of the books at a discounted rate. I'm going to sign them, and we'll make those available really soon.
Cool.
Well, we have our new band spotlight, Bob, and
let's get into it.
Let's do.
Hey, we got Hunter in the house.
Hey.
Hunter morning, in the house. Good morning.
How are you, Hunter?
Doing well.
Another day above ground and breathing is a blessing in my mind. So
now that t-shirt you're wearing? Is that the band Exegesis, or is
No,
that
this is an apparel company that I'm actually an ambassador for, Christian apparel company. But it's exegesis over eisegesis, which just means keep the context of the scripture.
Nice.
Yes, that is great. I have to show you a mug that I just got, and it says, "I can do all things." Let me get it up here. There we go. I can do all things through a verse taken out of context.
That's Philippians 4:13 is usually my go-to for explaining this shirt, because people will use that one like crazy. So
yeah,
that's true. Awesome. Well, Hunter's just down the road from me in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.
Oh, great.
And we first connected through the through Rock Church Radio, and then he ended up playing. We have a big music festival here in Wisconsin called Life Fest, and he played that this summer. And so when I asked him if he'd be a part of this segment, he jumped at it. So I don't know.
Awesome.
This is the first time you've met Pastor Bob, Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously been witnessing his ministry, but other than that, I don't think I've ever met him. So,
well, it's good to meet you, Hunter. It really is.
Likewise.
And I am excited to hear about the band. Now, tell us what kind of music you do. You know, we counted 18 different genres of heavy metal. So good luck with that one, huh?
So we're actually, very interestingly, we are probably one of the most, and I know every band says this, one of the most diverse, metal groups of the current time, at least in the underground, because we range anywhere from our song Prosperity, which is about prosperity gospel teaching. That's about hard rock ish level, and we go all the way to our latest single that we've released, Graveyard of Hope, which is deathcore, like straight deathcore. So
wow,
we range
very
pretty
well
far
with it.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
I love that diversity. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 3 of the musicians at the current moment, so there's 4 of us in the band. 3 of them, including myself, are jazz musicians. So,
wow.
Yeah, playing metal is not our forte. We've just adapted very well.
Dude, but those make the best metal bands, the ones that have a really good rounded musical foundation in a lot of different styles. Hunter, can I tell you a story really fast?
Go for it.
In Europe, I was at this, well, they call it gymnasium. It's high school basically, and it's more of a music school. And there were these guys that were phenomenal, and they were really good at jazz, and they were good at blues, and they were good at classical, and they were good with all this stuff. But they were really good because of that with metal. And I thought, these guys are really going to go somewhere. And I encouraged them, and I thought, this is awesome. And the band is called Meshuggah.
Oh,
and
wow.
they did go somewhere.
Oh yeah.
But I think, yeah, but I think that was the greatest foundation, is all the different kinds of music that they played well, that just fed right into, being good at what they did, and then embracing a style.
Yeah, they're the fathers of modern gent music, which is one of my biggest influences. I love progressive metal. So
huge. I love it. I love the key change, the tempo change, all the stuff that they're known for. Awesome. Anyway, I am a Meshuggah fan as well. So Hunter, that's awesome. And the band was formed when? How old are you guys now?
So the band was originally formed November 2019, and I actually wasn't even in the band at that time. So I'm not one of the founding members, but I was added in April of 2020. So I've been around for over a year now. But yeah, the band is getting to be 2 years old now.
How did that work? Being added into a band that, obviously you want to tour, you want to be out and about, but you were added in right during the whole lockdown and everything. How did that go for you?
So for us, we were still finishing up the last details of recording the EP that we released, Down with Leviathan, which was August 1st of 2020. So that was released then. So I came in over halfway through the process and ended up finishing out the process of recording. So as far as shows go, that's been the more interesting side of things. But learning the music wasn't too bad. Our original guitar player, he taught me all the stuff from the EP, and I ended up writing some of the parts off of the EP. But he wrote most of them, and yeah, I just kind of learned them. And now I am unfortunately the sole guitar player. But yeah, we learned them, and we just kind of kept carrying it. And we're like, this is the sound we built off of. Let's see where we can keep going with it. So
we do very well with it.
Thank you.
So what do you feel like your mission is, Hunter? Because I think every band has a particular mission that they feel called to. What is yours?
Sure. So Blue Fire Horizon as a band, at least at the moment, a lot of our songs are focused around not only spiritual health, but mental health. And I guess a combination, the issue of both of those, because Zachariah, the lead vocalist and lead screamer, and myself, we both had issues with depression. We've had issues with suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, even in our youth. And so one of the biggest things of the band is to spread the gospel and share the good news that there is hope, and that this isn't where you end. This isn't the end of the line. Like, so that's where we feel that we stand as a band, and where we come to play, at bars and at other venues that aren't church related. We are there to share the hope of the gospel. So
that is awesome. Good for you. There are so many people, especially in this genre, that really do struggle with hope and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had so many in the last couple of years, as you know, that have committed suicide. So good for you. That's awesome.
It's not new. It's just taboo. That's the issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it seems like we have one of your biggest fans on saying, "Hello, dude. What's up, buddy?" So
that's my buddy out in the West Coast. He and I have connected through a couple of Facebook groups. So what's up, Matthew?
There you go.
That's great. Great.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. We put your website right up on the screen. People can find you on Facebook, and you're very easily accessible. You're always interacting and stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's exciting to have new bands come on the show and talk about what they're doing.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
And Hunter, I'm looking forward to hearing you play live. So if you get in the Tennessee area or whatever, let me know.
Well, if you guys are familiar with Chains Unchained, Daniel Streety and I can't remember the other co-host's name. They're in the Missouri area. I just talked to Daniel Streety of Bread for War yesterday, and you might see us there this next year. So
that'd be awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. That's awesome. Well, blessings to you, my friend. I love what you're doing. I love the message of the band, and can't wait to hear you play live.
Thank you. God bless you guys.
All right.
God bless you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Awesome.
Well,
great guy.
Go. Yeah.
And I like that, Bob. I like the fact that he's gone through some things and has a burden for people that are struggling with the same stuff. That's awesome.
It's easy to write about a subject you know nothing about, but it's even richer when you've lived through it, and now you can write and address it from a place of authority.
And that's the best part, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Well, Bob, we need to get to Lebo. Is he in?
He just popped in, and he's going to be giving us which segment?
Yeah, he is our homeless refuge report, and as you know, he kind of runs the homeless ministry for us and does a really great job. And I thought it'd be great for people to meet him and to hear his heart.
I'm not sure the internet's ready for this, but here we go. And there he is.
There he is. Cool.
Hey, y'all.
How you doing, Lebo?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Good. I feel weird. It's like normally I'm there in Nashville when we talk, and our daughters are playing, and I'm sleeping in the cabin. But now we're on the internet.
Exactly. Well, he's supposed to have a day off today, and I say supposed to because even on his days off, he usually comes in and works. So he's a hard guy to keep away, but he does a phenomenal job in running the homeless ministry. And I wanted people to get to know you just a little bit, to see your face, to hook a face to the ministry also, but just to talk about exactly what goes on during a day, what goes on in the life of someone who's working with the homeless ministry. Obviously, we have other people involved as well. But tell us just a little bit about what happens.
Well, boy, we span a whole lot of stuff, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
You know, I appreciate how you say, Pastor Bob, that I run the ministry. I think I just hang on for dear life, really. We, you know, besides, you know, gathering donations and preparing food and also providing food for a few other local ministries that help folks, you know, from pantries to some ministries that help people transition from the streets into everyday, you know, into a
Yes.
normalcy, if you will. A big part of what we do is, you know, we, as me and Bob have talked many times, you know, our ministry isn't just about handing out stuff, even though we do provide food and tents and you know, sleeping bags and socks and underclothes and whatever's the need is, you know.
Yeah.
It's really about trying to establish relationships, and sometimes that's easy, and sometimes it's a little harder, you know. And sometimes you, the folks that we minister to and we are involved with, there's a wide gambit of folks, from those who deal with different types of disabilities, whether it's mental disabilities or physical disabilities, to those who have, you know, they just, the system hasn't worked really well for them, and they just have a hard time holding jobs. They have social anxiety, or, you know,
Yes.
a lot of folks tend to think that homeless folks, it's all lazy people and drug users, and when we know that's not the case, right?
No. It is, and it is the case with a few, but
Yes.
but not the majority, is it?
Yeah, and a lot of times those folks who end up drug users, it's because they've been on the streets and they're dealing with issues, or because of their mental disabilities, and they're self-medicating, and they've got
Yes.
themselves down a rabbit hole that they don't really know how to dig out of. So we always have some excitement when we go down. And we have folks that are dealing with a lot of things. And sometimes we can be there and we can provide the solutions. And sometimes it's just a matter of prayer and just trying to keep tabs and, you know, waiting for God to open the doors so that we know what to do and, you know, how to carry it out.
Absolutely. And as you said, food is just the way in. It's the conversation starter. It's
also
not all that we do.
Yeah, and it's important. I think several years ago, you and me, Bob, even before I came aboard to help with the ministry, we talked about, you know, I come from a poor family myself, and the impact of, you know, not eating healthy meals is a lot. There's a lot more impact than most people would.
Yes, it's huge. Yes.
So we try to do really healthy meals, well balanced meals, you know, and we try to get their basic needs taken care of to the point where we can address the spiritual needs and the emotional needs.
Absolutely. And it's not just a once a week thing. We're feeding every day, 2 locations.
Yep.
Yeah.
and we're hoping to finish our bus. We're working on that. When we do that, we'll actually be doing more locations,
Yes.
and that'll be
And
beneficial.
talk about the bus for a minute. Talk about the plans.
Well, we've been blessed. We've been blessed with this bus, and but with every blessing, there comes a little bit of work, I think. We've had to we've had to do some work on it. We've had to replace a few things, and we have to get
not small things.
No, unfortunately, buses are not diesel engines are not the cheapest thing to work on.
Yeah.
But we're almost there as far as having it. We've had to replace the turbo, and we've had to replace the alternator, and we're still trying to just finish our stools and our counters for people to sit at, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's a big project.
And we'll get there.
Yeah.
But the plan is to invite people to come onto the bus and eat in those areas where serving the homeless isn't necessarily legal, but they can always come on and eat on the bus. And so I don't know that anybody's done that before. I've not heard of it, but we're going to try it, and I think it's going to work well.
Yeah. So, we talked about our ministry is mainly about spending time in relationships, and part of that, what we've been doing, is we set up picnic tables, and we have a steam table, and we set out things, and we try to create a very welcoming environment for rest, for folks to come and rest and sit for a minute and give us time to just interact with them and talk with them. And
eat healthy food.
Yeah. And of course that requires a lot of time. There's a lot of effort in that, and so we're limited in the amount of time we have to go from place to place. Plus, a lot of times, like at one of our locations, we really don't have anything to protect people from the weather. So if it's really hot, or if it's rainy, or and any of that, they're just going to be outside. And the bus is going to allow us to do a couple things. One, we just have to pull up. Folks can get on, they can sit, they can rest, we can talk. We can eliminate the time it takes to set up tables and chairs, so we can go to more locations. And then 2, we trap them on the bus. No, just kidding. You will not go
and drive away. Yeah.
No, but it also keeps people, they get to come in and air conditioning and heat, and they get to we don't have to worry about flies and whatever garbage is around
all of that.
And we're
because the one place we go to is filthy. Piles and piles of garbage, and the fly problem is definitely part of it. So, Lebo, you're about to do a new podcast, and we're about out of time, but I wanted to give you a minute to talk about, you've got the logo behind you, Voices from the Street, and it's going to be a great podcast. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I really, the goal is to talk to our homeless population and understand what their views of things are, spiritually, maybe politically, maybe just issues in the world. Not so much their own personal issues, although we will touch on that because we're going to learn a little bit about them. But I want people out there to realize that our folks are people. They have thoughts, they have opinions. They're very wise in some aspects. And when you get to know our folks, you fall in love with them. You understand.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. And we have people that have become very close friends, haven't we? From the homeless population. Well, Lebo, thanks so much for coming on today. And if you don't mind, let's touch base with you every once in a while here on our talk show and just see what's going on. We'll look forward to the premiere voices on the streets really soon.
That'll be great.
It will be.
I appreciate it, and y'all have a blessed morning.
Thank you, dude. See ya. Bye-bye. All right. Well, it's cool that we've got that podcast coming up, and I think it's going to give people a real insight into what's going on with the homeless population.
I think so. You hear of just the fact that you're feeding the homeless, but there's so much more to it. From the behind the scenes to the actual serving of people. It would be insightful for people to understand what it takes to run a homeless ministry. It's far more than just cooking a meal.
Yes, it is. As you know, you brought a crew down here to help with building and so many things several times, and we appreciate that. Well, speaking of podcasters, we have two of my favorite people coming on with us.
Let's get into it.
Let's do.
There they are.
Wow. Awesome.
What up?
I like how we made the same impression, Haydin.
So these are the comic book guys. And if you need to know anything about comic books, and I happen to be a Marvel Comics fanatic. I like DC, but Marvel is a little bit more of my favorite. But these are the guys that know, and they're commenting on it on their show and all of that. Let me introduce them. Phil, and thank you for staying up late, by the way, Phil.
Anything for you, Bob. And for you as well, Bob.
I'm guessing from that accent, you're on the other side of the pond.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
All right.
And it's very late in Australia, isn't it? And thank you for staying up. And then we have Haydin, who, by the way, is the guy that designs all of our stuff. If you see any of our mugs and any of our stuff, this is all Haydin's artwork, and we appreciate what he's doing. Haydin, you don't by any chance have one of your comic books there to hold up, do you?
Maybe. Hang on. This cord is long enough. Okay. Here's the proof copy.
There we go. Good.
Crimson 6. So this wouldn't be on it if you got it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But I say comic books. This is a graphic novel.
I mean, they're like the same thing.
Yeah, right. Well, you guys, you're doing a podcast, and you're about to go live with it, which will be very exciting. And this is called The Comic Book Guys. And tell us a little bit about it and what you're accomplishing in the podcast.
Go for it, Phil.
I was about to say you first name. So what we're accomplishing, so Haydin and I caught up, and we had some time to think what we wanted to do. So with the Sanctuary ministry, there is a big fan base of obviously people that love metal and people that love comics, superheroes, and we thought, let's mash this together and get everybody involved and, talk about the things that they love and, when a video's on, something that they can relate, open up to, and, ultimately spread the gospel. That's our take on it, and that's what we want to do. And yeah, now your turn, Haydin.
So Phil, it's interesting that actually the average metalhead is also into comics.
That is so
true, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, especially too, like not just comic books, but also just like nerd culture. Like Lord of the Rings and metal seem to go very well together. Yes. And then even like Star Trek and Star Wars and all that, it's definitely interesting to see the two fan bases, how they're basically the same fan base. But we had our podcast that we had been doing, but now we're kind of like revamping it. And I think one thing that Phil and I have talked about that we're really excited to do is incorporate more of the metal aspect into it. And also kind of like I think it'd be interesting just to look at all the different like they had a sci-fi anthology book called Heavy Metal, which was like a comic book, but also like and it used to be. I think they made a movie out of it too, right? And then
Sammy Hagar did the track on it. It was put out in the 80s.
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah.
So yeah, but it just goes to show like they have all these overlap and stuff. So like what Phil said, pretty much. I'm just gonna second everything Phil said, but also too like being it like the part about like the gospel stuff. Like we're not going on mainly to make everything about like it's like, how does Superman tie into Jesus and stuff. But it is cool because superheroes and also like sci-fi and stuff tend to convey a message deeper than just what you're watching or just what you're reading, and they're a great vehicle to talk about these types of things. So it's like I'm really excited, and also as you could tell from when we first started, we're also both goofballs, so we're gonna see how that goes.
One thing I can say, like we've come up with some new ideas, and we've been brainstorming. We're still working together, tweaking a few things, and like we're thinking, how can we take this approach? And I come up with a little bit of an idea, like Bill and Ted kind of thing. Like, when you watch the movie, when they get excited, they do the air guitar thing. Like I thought, hey, that's cool. But I don't know, we're still, getting that little getting it down pat, and yes. Ultimately, I'm excited for it. As Haydin said, we're goofballs, and I think that's that's the good thing about it. We work together really well. So
and you do work together well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Wayne's World 2 has the transition, thing too. So.
Yeah. I was
there you go.
That.
Yep.
Yeah.
So did I hear correctly that Bill and Ted are about to do part 2 of their excellent adventure?
Well, it's out. It's part 3.
Yeah.
Part 3. Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Face the Music. Yes.
Okay, that's it. Yes.
And their kids are in it.
Are they really?
Yep.
Awesome.
Well, the kids in the movie
doesn't seem like it's been that long. Yeah.
The girl that they got cast to play, I think Ted's daughter, is like spot on of who Ted is. It's hilarious.
That is awesome.
Nice.
Good.
I haven't seen the film yet, but yeah, the plan.
All right. So you mentioned Star Wars and Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And I this is an important bit of information that I just need to know. Bob, which is your favorite, Star Wars or Star Trek?
I'm gonna have to go with Star Wars. I was raised watching all of the Star Treks because my dad is a Trekkie, and I just can't get into them. Now I will say it would be amazing someday, be it a YouTuber or whatever, to do a crossover event.
Yeah.
Whoa, that would be something.
That would be amazing.
Yes.
That would actually
that would
really
be amazing. Cool. And Phil, how about you? Which one?
I grew up Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. Even a lot of my brothers made fun of me watching it. And then I would like to say right now, because they're going to be watching, you are watching it right now, and you're saying you love it. So that was because of me.
Bill and Ted,
Star Wars all the way.
So Haydin, how about you?
Well, I'm going to be that guy and say that you can't really compare the two because they're so different. Because, I mean, they both take place in space, right? But they're so entirely different of the concept that, like, I don't think you have to pick one over the other. Like, I've been watching the Next Generation, and it's amazing. Like, man, Patrick Stewart is the dude.
Yes.
But
yes,
but they're definitely going for two different objectives. Like Star Wars is more of like the hero's journey, and Star Trek is more of like how do you deal with different philosophies over like thousands of planets. So I think they're both really good. I will say if I had to like pick one to just turn on, I would pick Star Wars just because I grew up with that, and lightsabers are cool. So
and that's true with your generation, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think now see, my generation is more Star Trek, and I am more of a Trekkie than Star Wars, but I like them both. I agree with you. So what do we have to look forward to with the comic book guys?
Phil, you want to take that?
No, I went last time. Nah, all cool, mate. I think what you're going to look forward to is something fun, something to laugh to, and something that you can relate with. And like, I think we're already getting comments with people saying, "Oh, and anime and this and Bill and Ted." I think people are already relating. People are seeing that. They just want to see two guys having fun, talking about what other people
Right.
love, and that's what we want to do. Talk on before I actually came on this podcast, I was watching, one of the Marvel TV series, What
Yeah.
If, and I'm like, man, I love it. I wish I could just geek out on it for like hours, but that's something that we can do, and that's something that we
Right.
love to do. And the good thing about this podcast, we want to do it because we love it, and that's something that
That's a big deal.
people can sit down and watch
Yes.
and go, hey, they love it, I love it too. I'm encouraged.
And that makes the podcast enjoyable, doesn't it?
Exactly.
When you have two people that enjoy what they're doing. Well, you guys were looking forward to it. Looking forward to you being live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm excited as well.
What I really enjoy about it is the fact that it's just because a Christian has a podcast doesn't mean everything's got to be Bible study, discipleship, the heavy things of the Lord. Christians can have hobbies, and they can have TV shows that they enjoy. And I love that it's just conversation. It's about something enjoyable and fun. And,
yes,
I really appreciate that about that podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, and that's a good point too, because it's like we have the freedom to enjoy things. Like we get to and like we get to enjoy the fun lore and stuff. And we get to talk about how awesome Batman is, and it's pretty
there
cool.
You go.
And also another thing,
he is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and also another thing to look forward to that Phil and I have been kind of kicking around too is because in the metal community there's so many people who are nerds, I guess, in the best way I could say that, because I'm also a nerd. We might even have guest appearances and be able to reach out to people, and then maybe some bands, maybe some people like that. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's something that we've been talking about, and I think we're really excited just to bring on other guests. You think of other musicians, you think, oh yeah, just another musician, but the
comic book crowd is huge.
But it is huge, and you'll be amazed. A lot of these, metal dudes, the knowledge they have, you're just like, what? Who are you?
Absolutely. Like you guys. Well, you guys, thank you for coming on with us, Phil. Thank you for
thanks, man.
Staying up late, and we appreciate that. And we're looking forward to the comic book guys going live very soon. Bless you guys. See you
guys.
Thank you so much for having us on.
All right.
See you later.
So, Bob, we have one of my best friends up next.
All right.
And Phil and I have been friends for a whole lot of years, and we're bringing him on as a metal missionary. Maybe not so metal, but missionary, yes.
Okay, let's welcome him.
Great.
And there he is.
And there he is.
Guys.
Hey, Phil.
How you doing?
So, Phil,
Wisconsin. How about you guys in Nashville?
The setting looks a little familiar. Yeah, there you go. Phil is actually sitting just right outside my window, and it's always good to have him visit. Phil, you're working with Casting Crowns. How many years now have you been doing that gig?
I started in 2009.
Wow.
As a technician. And now I run for house. So yes, it's been a while.
So
it has been a while.
For us non-sound guys, what's the difference between a technician and a sound man?
Art and science. One guy being the technician, you hang the PA and make it sound good. When you are the engineer, you're blending the sounds and doing the art side of it.
Ah,
yeah, and you're pointing at people and say, hang that sound right there instead of doing it yourself.
That is correct.
That's the best part, isn't it?
Yep.
You get to boss people around. I like that. So, Phil, and I maybe I'm telling a little bit out of a class here, but you know, you and I have been friends for a long time. You've worked with a lot of bands in the past, and you were almost at a place where you were kind of feeling like, are there any real Christians out there? Because so many bands were rock stars and difficult to work with and all of that. And in the name of Christianity. And I remember when you first started working with Casting Crowns, you said they've restored my faith in Christian ministry. They are the real deal. That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very true. I feel like right now in this business, the gatekeepers have abandoned their post. But where we are, we kind of self-regulate. If something seems out of place with someone, whether, you know, we talk to each other. We're like, hey, how you doing? You know, what's going on? And,
good.
You know, and I think that is in the music business because I feel like in the 80s, the gatekeepers may have been too heavy-handed. And so the pendulum has swung far the other way now. So,
wow.
You know, I'm with a group of people who care about that, and I do too. So it's been great.
Yeah. And Phil, you don't just have an opportunity to work with people as far as the mechanics of setting up a stage and running a show, but you have an opportunity for friendships, for relationships. These are people that you ride the bus with. You don't, you're with them all the time.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. That's a big deal. It's a big ministry. So, Phil, the music industry has suffered a lot in the last couple of years. You guys decided to keep going, and you did a tour that was drive-in theaters. That's really interesting. Tell us how that went.
It was a hard year. We started in July, and we decided, somebody thought of, hey, let's do outdoor movie theaters. There's a screen. All we need is a camera. We carried a stage with us. We had to reduce our production down to a box truck and no stage hands. So we had to do it all ourselves.
And July it's hot.
July we started, I think, in Missouri or Arkansas, went to Texas, then to Florida, and I really thought, okay, I'm probably done. It was a very tough time because most of these drive-in movie theaters, a lot of them are in people's backyards where box trucks and buses were not designed to go.
Oh, yeah?
There was a lot of towing bills. Had to be towed out a few times. So it was tough. It was a tough year, but it was a safe year. Interesting in the fact that when you tour, you are communal to a certain degree. And then when you are on that tour, you don't get to leave site. So you can, but there's not really anywhere to go. So we were all confined kind of to this movie theater every day, day in and day out, wherever we were. So everybody got to know each other a lot better. Our communal living got a lot tighter. And it was just interesting. I didn't expect to come out of that that different, and I think in some ways it has. I'm a lot closer to some people for it. So
that's awesome.
It was interesting. I don't want to do it again though.
Let that be in the past. Well, it was a really unique idea, and I thought it was brilliant. But you and I talked during that time, and you were just telling me how hot it was and how miserable it was to work outside. Yeah, I'm not sure I could have done that.
I need to do some more stuff in the north here. It's a little cooler on you.
I agree. Exactly. I live up north, so I agree with you totally.
There you go. Yep.
Phil lives in Indiana. He's right on the top tip. So you're not that far.
Are you in that area that they call Michiana?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's correct.
That's a nice area.
Yeah.
There you go. So you guys are almost neighbors.
Just about.
Yeah, not too far at all.
That's awesome. Well, I've been to Phil's house and went to eat at a local restaurant, and just a classic little town, great place to grow up, and you grew up there too, Phil.
Yep,
so
that's right.
It's nice to be able to live there. And Phil is married to Stacy and has a son named Sage,
and he told me I need to shout out to him. Hey, Sage.
That's right.
I remember Sage loved feeding the ducks when I was there.
Yes.
Years ago. Those ducks
I walked out here this morning and they saw me and they came right up wondering where he was. So
exactly. Well, he spoiled them. Honestly, when he fed them all day long. And you guys were here for a couple of days, and then when he left, they kept coming up all day long to eat. So he definitely got them trained to eat. Yes, I didn't feed them quite that much, but that was. So you're on a tour right now. You've got a few more gigs to go before you can go home and rest for a while.
Yeah, we're making up for last spring's tour that we had to cancel because the world shut down. So yeah, this month
there are a lot of Casting Crowns fans out there. Phil, tell us where your next concerts are going to be.
Oh boy,
can you remember?
Oh, that's a tough one. No, I don't. I know that we're going to Virginia tomorrow. That's the only one I remember right offhand.
So all you have to do is jump on the bus and they take you to where you're going.
That's right. At a certain point, I stopped looking.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you're in the Virginia area, there you go, folks. And Phil, thank you for being such a great friend for so many years. And we've done a lot of ministry together, a lot of things in our past, working with different artists and different shows, but it's always been great to have Phil for a friend. He's a true friend and very, very good at what he does. So if you're at a Casting Crowns show, make sure that you look for Phil. He's right behind all of the big machines, and say hello. I saw you on Pastor Bob's show. Yeah.
Stop in and say hi.
Yeah. Yes. Well, Phil, thank you. You and I are going to go out to lunch as soon as we're done here. Bob, I wish you were here to go out with us.
I wish I were too. I'm jealous.
I know.
It was an honor to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Right, bye.
So, Bob, the time goes so fast, doesn't it?
It really does. I was looking at the clock and it's 20 after 10 already. And it's it was a good show. I really appreciated the words that Shawn had to say, just any kind of the mentoring moment for younger bands. And it's exciting to see a resurgence. And I don't even know if resurgence is the word, but just a fresh fire for the metal movement and what Hunter's doing. And next week we're going to have another young group on, and we've had GFM and stuff. It's refreshing to see that.
It is totally refreshing. Well, Bob, do we have any questions? This is the time where we usually take questions from our friends that are watching.
Let's see. We don't have any questions. A few comments here, but if anybody wants to message or post a question for Pastor Bob or I, we would be happy to address it right here. Again, we mentioned that when we're not on the air, and if you have a question you want us to address in advance, you can email us to pbs@sanctuaryinternational.com, and we might even save them for the air so that we can talk to you right here on the show.
And Bob, while I'm thinking of it, social media is getting a little wonky these days.
Especially yesterday.
Yeah, and not real dependable. And so we're trying to keep a really good email list going. And I'm sending out an email newsletter. Actually, it'll go out today. And so it's really important to people sign up for that. And they can go to sanctuaryinternational.com, and there's a button as soon as they get there to sign up for the email. And folks, if you haven't done that yet, please do that. Or you can go here. We are Metal, we are family. But sign up for the newsletter so that we never lose touch with you, just in case these, social media places that we're broadcasting from, just in case they go down, there will be an alternative. So please do that today.
Well, Gary asked the question. He says, "Have we heard of All for the King yet?"
I've heard of them. I haven't heard them. Have you, Bob?
I have not. I've like you. I've heard of them, but I haven't heard them yet. And certainly
we got to
something
listen. Yeah. Gary, send us some information on them. I would love to know more about them.
Here's one from Jennifer Wagner. She says, "Is there a way I can get involved with the Nashville Homeless Ministry?"
Whoa. You asked the magic question. That would be awesome. We would love to have you. Jennifer, would you write to me? And he'll put the email there. There we go. Just write in that address and give me your information, and I'll give it to Lebo, and he can contact you right away. We really need volunteers. We're hurting badly for people to help out.
Isn't that the truth? We run a homeless program up here as well, and it's never an issue to get people to volunteer at Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yes.
But
yes.
But boy, what a joy to get somebody like Jennifer here who said I can help at least once a month, all throughout the year.
Huge blessing. That would be awesome. So please do. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. And I'll have him get in touch with you.
Well, here's a profound question for you, Pastor Bob.
Okay.
How do you do it? I don't know what he's talking about, but how do you do it?
How do you do it? Yeah, that's gosh, we could be on that one for a while.
Right. Yeah. Well, it starts by getting up in the morning.
Yeah, there you go.
And
that's
brewing your first cup of Headbanger brew.
Oh, good. See, you're awesome.
It's been a while since we've done a product plug. So
there we go. And it's of course the best. And Bob, we really do have the best collection of, well, obviously the coffee is the best in the world. I'm not biased at all. But we really do have such great products.
Yeah.
All of the mugs, there are many, many mugs.
And they're good products, really.
They're great. T-shirts and a little bit of everything. And the cool part is that it does go to help with the homeless ministry. So, and it really is huge for us.
And they get 15% off today. So that what could possibly be better?
It's a win-win situation. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Sonic Grace says Headbanger brew that will get you going. And,
yes, and it does. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a few more minutes. So if anybody, if we have a few more minutes. So if anybody wants to send in more questions, please feel free. We'll hang out here for a couple more minutes. And, you can always rewatch this podcast. It'll go live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, within moments of this show being done.
Yeah. And we're looking into other places also to go live. So hopefully that'll happen. So Bob, I drink Headbangers brew starting first thing in the morning. And after after COVID, I lost my taste for coffee.
That's rough.
And so it was critical. It was critical. So it's back. It's getting better. And so I start with coffee early in the morning. And then there comes a time when I switch it to decaf. We have a decaf as well that I think is every bit as good as the regular. And I've never been a decaf fan, but this is great.
Tracy just got her degree in functional nutrition. And those of you watching, Tracy's my wife. And she said, well, if you could drink decaf, that might be a little better. And she goes, the problem with decaf, it's all, chemically enhanced and everything. But there's this one method and she couldn't think of the word. And I said, well, Pastor Bob's Headbanger Brew is made the Swedish. You can help me out there.
The Swedish water system. Yeah.
Yeah. The Swedish water system. And she goes, that's the one. That's the healthiest decaf coffee you can drink. So
yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And it is. And it's the tastiest.
It tastes really good.
Yeah.
Jim Fairbanks says, how do you stay faithful in ministry work when you don't see fruit? And when do you figure out that you should move on to other things?
Wow, that's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe that'll be the last question for the show.
Yeah. You know, I think the most important thing is to be faithful. If you've ever seen this little pamphlet called Praying Hyde, Hyde, it's the story of John Hyde, which is a really interesting story, Jim. And John Hyde was known for prayer. And he studied ministry in the United States, and then went abroad to be a missionary. And when he went abroad, he was just the ordinary Christian guy, prayed once in a while, whatever. And when he set foot on the foreign soil, he became really burdened for the people. And there are a lot of stories about John Hyde, how many times he would drop in the middle of whatever he was doing and just prayed, and how there were right by his bed in the floor, there was indents in the wood from where he had prayed every single day. And it said that John would spend sometimes days in prayer. Well, John led a handful of people to the Lord the whole time he was there. And he died feeling like he hadn't accomplished much. He had led these handful of people to the Lord and discipled them, and they were strong Christians, and he had prayed for this country. But this handful of people went on and led some of the biggest revivals that Europe has ever known.
Mm.
And that story, I think, is impressive because it tells us this one really important thing, and that is that when you're faithful in ministry, even if you don't see the fruit is going out. And don't move on before your time. Also, don't stay after your time. But as long as you feel the Holy Spirit quickening your heart and giving you the burden and the love for what you're doing, stick with it, because you may be a John Hyde.
You know, I would add to that, and that's a fantastic story. From speaking from the affiliation I'm with and being a pastor of a church for over 20 years, you know, if we're equating fruit with our altar call response cards, that's a dangerous place to be in. You cannot judge the fruit of your ministry by a response card. You won't know the fruit of your ministry until you get to heaven. And it's really, if you're doing what God's called you to do, you're sharing the gospel, you're loving people, you're out and about, you're doing outreach, there's no way to measure the fruit of your work other than knowing that God's blessing what you're doing, and you just keep doing what you're doing as long as you have the passion for it.
And you know, Bob, the other part of that too, I think, is, and you're absolutely right, that I think one of our prayers should be, Lord, help me to lose my agendas, lose all of my agendas, and simply fall in love with your ministry and what you have us to do. And when I'm motivated by his agape, when I begin to mourn for the people instead of just designing programs for them, when it becomes something in my heart, then that's what leads me, and that motivates us. And I think that's the foundation, you know, for ministry.
And Hunter Chapin, who's still a part in the green room, says the story of Abraham and the promise God gave him reminds us that the reward of our servanthood is not required to be given to us on this earth, and that in our service, God is glorified above all else. And when we are faithful, the generations to come will be impacted.
Absolutely. Good word. Yeah. Good word, Hunter. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jim, I hope that's helpful stick with it if it's something God's called you to do. And Danny Bell Hall did a song from Scripture that always comes to my mind. And if you remember, she used to sing with Andre Crouch. And it goes, "Do not become weary in doing what is right, for after a while you'll reap a harvest of blessings if you don't get discouraged and if you don't give up." And that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Don't get discouraged. Well, Bob, we're out of time for the day. It's been fun, as always.
It's been a lot of fun. So
we got
we'll be back on next Wednesday.
Great show coming up next Wednesday, and we'll fill you in the details. But we got some good guests coming up again.
Absolutely.
And this has been a great day. So
Yes.
thank you for joining us, and God bless you.
Have a good day.